The return is that phase of the survey in which the data are communicated. We always think of the craftsman who must repair an object. The first thing it does is observation. Then disassemble the object, separates the part to be replaced or repaired, intervenes on this, and then put it all back together. In the case of architecture, things get complicated because the object is of a certain size and the relief requires some effort. We saw filming in areas hit by the earthquake. The relief is done by those who do not have to restore the monument. However, photogrammetry, in particular, allows us to have available the three-dimensional scale model of the object, on which we must intervene. On the evolution of survey techniques, we'll talk more elsewhere on this DVD. We stop for a moment to make a historical excursus on the evolution of the relief at the Architectural Photogrammetry Laboratory in Bari, and in particular on my personal experience. They can talk about in all the details.
Never will. Making their way.
What we see opening on the screen is the return of the portal of the Basilica of San Nicola in Bari. The return was made with the autograph Wild A2, and at the time it took 14 hours. Is an important example that I have to show what should not be done in the architectural survey. I did it personally, and on the three-dimensional model of the portal, a detail of the facade, I just passively retraced all the ashlars in bas relief. Let's say I read that model like someone who reads a letter written in English, without knowing English, therefore more than a copy of the letter. It is a redesign of the letter passively. And that's what shouldn't be done. Just to say on the front there is a measuring element of the time used by merchants on the occasion of the market. However, they are all facts completely ignored. Just as I completely ignored the reading of the bas reliefs on the main arch of the portal. Bas reliefs that tell a certain story. Completely ignored. This is the background speech, at least my personal, to make available to the user. I, a historian, who restore directly the three-dimensional model. The Basilica of San Nicola as main elevation was detected with photogrammetry in 1964. With wild P30 photodiodolite that we've already seen before. Taking a look both to the planimetric scheme of the shooting, both to the altimetric scheme, we realize, already by either time required for the photogrammetric shot of the elevation only, to keep in mind that the photodiodolite P30 was born for topographic purposes. That is, it was used to integrate the shots taken from the plane for those areas of the ground not visible from above. So he had an inclination upwards of 7 degrees. And down 7 degrees, 14 degrees and 21 degrees in fact, in the elevation chart. We see that to shoot they were forced to stand on the buildings facing the facade at a certain height in order to detect the upper parts. The restitution was a composition and retraced the basic lines. In the 80s with that metric wild camera. Brand new with a super wide angle. With one shot the entire facade has been taken over. From this comparison we see the parallel between a slab of the P30 and a slab of the P31. Impressed from the same point of view, you easily realize that the former is a true telephoto lens, and the other a super wide angle. The downside, for heaven's sake, is that with the telephoto lens we have no perspective deformations, while with the wide angle we always have large perspective deformations. However, the pros and cons must always be evaluated. In addition, if we now try to enlarge the frame of the P31, and we superimpose it on the graphic relief, obtained with the return of the shooting of 1964. We easily understand the shooting times have been reduced to a minimum. And you think that one shot with a metric chamber it goes on 10, 20 minutes. And we are already at very long times. Times that correspond to a single photo shoot, with photodiodolite. Keep in mind that while with the metric chamber the base was made, with the normal case and everything was done. 10 minutes, 20 minutes was already too much. With photodiodolite it was necessary to make several photogrammetric shots. And from every point from every station. It was necessary to carry out topographically the relief of a certain number of support points. To verify the three-dimensional model. Also because, if the normal case was not used, often to make the most of the frames, you also get to shoot with converging axes. And therefore it was necessary to detect the angle of inclination of the chamber. And a series of data, not at all obvious. Let's see how, with the frame of the P31, enlarged to scale and treated with a photo editing program, we get the prospect of the Basilica of San Nicola. Perfectly scaled, which can also be detected via the network. And in orthogonal projection. Said among us, it is no longer the prospect of the Basilica. Because the two towers who are ahead are flattened and already, let's say, it is almost recognizable. Is to be questioned even what seemed like a great discovery at the time. The photoplan. We will see better later more in detail. These types of returns. But this already gives an idea of how in 15 years, things have changed. If you think now the ability to take frames over the network and make a return with a three-dimensional modeling program, we are already at a fairly strong revolution.